The following is rated not safe for work. It contains strong language, adult situations, and lots of spoilers. Discretion is advised.
In the criminal justice system, cinematic-based offenses are considered especially heinous. The dedicated attorneys who investigate these villainous films are members of an elite squad known as the Reels of Justice. These are their stories.
Order, please, order. The Reels of Justice is now in session. Judge Dylan J. Schlender presiding. We all rise for the Honorable Judge Schlender.
Be seated. Welcome to the Reels of Justice. Today we are hearing the case of the People versus Robin Hood, Prince of Thieves, a 1991 action-adventure film that chronicles Robin of Locksley's return from the Crusades, only to discover the nefarious Sheriff of Nottingham plans to take the throne. Now an outlaw, Robin and his band of merry men seek to bring justice to the realm. For those of you unfamiliar with our court proceedings, we are here to determine if this film is guilty of being a bad movie. As always in this courtroom, films are to be considered excellent until proven awful, and the burden of proof lies upon the prosecution to prove beyond a shadow of a reasonable doubt that this film is guilty. Mr. Big Ben Haslar, you are representing the prosecution. You may present your opening statement.
Ladies and gentlemen of the court, this is the first movie that I ever saw in the theater, not counting Ghostbusters, which my mom saw 3 times in utero. I think I was somewhere around 6 or 7 at the time. My brother 2 years younger than that. And we loved Tales of Knights, Dragons, and Heroes. So of course, Robin Hood was a big part of our childhood games. One of the pictures my family circulated was of us in green felt hats with suction cup arrows and plastic swords. And even though this film was PG-13, my mom took us to see our hero rescue Maid Marian and thwart the evil sheriff, shooting flame arrows flawlessly all the while. It was a good memory. Mostly because it was way over my head at that age. I remember being confused by the witch in the birthing scene. I remember just being happy enough that there were swords and armor in it, even though the story beats were way all over the place. Christian Slater remarking, "Fuck me, he cleared it," didn't register at all, nor that the sheriff was trying to rape Marian at the end of the film. Watching the film years later, I could only imagine what my mom, my very Christian mom, was thinking in that initial viewing as some of these things played out. But you know, none of that was her fault because the movie seemed specifically aimed to us kids. It was very toyetic. I remember my brother and I had the 2 Robin Hoods, 3 Azims. I had a Friar Tuck and a Sheriff. My brother had a Will Scarlet. I had that Ewok Forest action playset, and it actually was that. It was a repurposed Ewok village, and Friar Tuck was even a Gamorrean guard. Robin Hood had a repurposed Green Arrow toy. I think the Sheriff was a Lex Luthor power suit. As fond as my childhood memories playing with these were, I do kind of remember wondering why they didn't look quite like their movie counterparts did, and the knowledge of adulthood has somewhat dulled that wonder. What were they thinking marketing this to kids? This is not age appropriate. And as my plastic toys lay in some landfill somewhere doing damage to the earth, instead of fetching me that $350 used, some on eBay, I will elucidate for you, gentle jurors, how this film has done damage to cinema as a whole, because it is not as good as you remember. And I will cut its heart out with a spork.
Why a spork?
It won't hurt quite as much as the spoon.
Oh, how considerate. Thank you, Mr. Haslar. Appearing on behalf of the defense is Mr. Nathaniel Jonsson. Please present your opening statement.
Jonsson.
It's good to be here. It's interesting that this movie is now going to be framed in the viewpoint of nostalgia from our childhood. And it's interesting that I find that this film, it speaks to me more as an adult than a child, but we'll get to that. My main point with Robin Hood, Prince of Thieves is I feel like it's a misunderstood movie. I feel like people go into Robin Hood, Prince of Thieves expecting it, and this is generally from what I've seen as far as criticisms of the film, not necessarily my opponent's viewpoint of the film, but the idea that this film is seen as somehow a historical epic, a sort of you know, trying to think of one that comes off the top of my head, but it's not
Like a
working out.
Braveheart or a Gladiator.
Yeah, Braveheart or a Gladiator, or well, I mean, Gladiator is actually more in line with I think what this film actually is, but Gladiator was framed in that sense. Gladiator wanted to be that. I think Robin Hood Prince of Thieves is seen as if it's that type of film. In reality, it's got all of the stuff that every action film from the late 80s, early 90s has. I mean, you could basically turn this movie into a cop film if you wanted to, a buddy cop film. There is just this idea that the film is seen as if it's supposed to be taken seriously. And I do not believe for a second Robin Hood Prince of Thieves wants to be taken seriously. I think this movie is about having fun. I think this movie is about dwelling in the realm of genre convention. It's filled with the tropes of those action films, of comedies. There's a lot of improvised dialogue. And also, to Maynard's point, I think it's actually more prescient, not prescient, but relevant to our modern times. There's a lot of dialogue in this film that's very, very specifically focused, the way Robin Hood as a story is, on classist and capitalism, to be quite frank. The idea that the rich will continue to amass their wealth and at the expense of the poor. It does also hinge on the sort of fantasy in that a rich boy will come to their rescue, but it works in the same sense of that same male privilege that exists within those action films within the within this realm of within this time period. And so that's kind of my main point towards this film, is the idea that this film is misunderstood. And it sounds like maybe my opponent misunderstands it as well, in seeing it as a film that's being aimed at kids. Yes, the marketing is aimed at kids. They had something there, but this film is very much about the evil that men do. Beginning, of course, with this opening sequence of this film is they're being tortured in a dungeon, for the Crusades, which is even pointed out as being wrong-headed in Robin of Locksley's eyes. He sees it as a violation of another culture. All of these things are relevant to today.
Thank you, Mr. Jonsson. Mr. Haslar, you may proceed with your first exhibit.
No, I like with a lot of where the defense is going. Some of what he's saying will be peppered through my exhibits. I'll be leaving the toys behind. This movie is kind of all over the place. It seems to have many ideas of what it wants to be and no way to unify them. One might say the tones are dun 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 conflicting.
Ooh.
Kevin Costner and Alan Rickman are in markedly different films. Rickman is in a much campier movie. He prances about in the witch's lair like he's doing ballet or sneaking around with a Pink Panther. This lair has like neon blue lights with mist like it were in Blade Runner. This witch like spits on a cold plate and somehow it sizzles. And he camps his lines up to 11 with his "Close the gate! It's dull, you twit! It'll hurt more." I don't want to speak ill of the dead, especially not someone who delivered some of my favorite performances, like in Galaxy Quest. So I'll just say what he's going for would work in a certain kind of movie. Maybe more of a Men in Tights style movie. It's just not the same movie some of the other cast is in. Because sometimes I get the impression it's not a campy send-up, but honestly trying to be some sort of historical epic in places. Kevin Costner even remarks in the commentary that he wanted to have some of the fun that Rickman was having, but his script had him crying over his father's grave. So when he finally gets his chance to be comedic, it feels even more out of place. Like when he's trying to stab soldiers through the telescope. I think when we were all dumb kids, even with a preschool education, we knew that binoculars didn't make the thing we were looking at closer because we could see the thing far away. It'll move from being kind of exciting, like in that Middle East you were mentioning, to being boring as hell with his father in that castle stuff, and then kind of exciting, and then back to boring. There's no cohesion here. And of course, Maid Marian, who has more hair than she needs, is a total bamf in this scene, besting Robin in that catsuit, because women rock, am I right? Only to become a useless damsel in that last scene when he and the sheriff are fighting. She just kind of ineffectually is like moving tables around to get in the sheriff's way. Like, where was that badass that was in the first half of the movie? I mentioned the toys and the advertising to kids in my opening, yet we have Kevin Costner's Hinder put into this film for no reason at all, just to make parents uncomfortable, I guess. And I mean, I guess it establishes Merryin's got the hots for him, but I think that could be more aptly done just by him being the leader of the Merry Men. And that's not even Costner's butt, by the way. It's a butt double. So there's that. The climax where there's this
triple.
The climax where there's this wedding and the sheriff is forcing himself on Merryin doesn't ring like it's in the same movie as Robin crying over his parents. It's very forced. It's very contrived. Maybe even worse than that Jupiter Ascending wedding. Friar Tuck speaking directly to the camera is very off-putting. And then that song, Everything I Do, it's completely on topic for everything that we just saw. It's a director's job to take different pieces and make them feel cohesive. And I put it to the court, Kevin Reynolds has failed.
All right, Mr. Jonsson, would you like to respond to this? We have conflicting tones, stories all over the place, different movies smashed together.
Oh, I think most of what my opponent is mentioning here is all the selling points of the film, in my opinion. I mean, Alan Rickman.
Damn, I hate when I do that.
Alan Rickman's performance, yes, it is comedic. Yes, it can be a little bit unhinged, but that's the kind of the point, right? He's a 90s action villain. He's basically like the villain of McBain, like Salmon Pop, it's Mr. Burns. There is a cartoonish element to this film that is what makes it fun. I do believe you, of course, in Costner. I think you can see it in Costner's performance that there's moments that he wishes he was having more fun, and I think that is very, very much part of. There are weaknesses in this film. I'm never going to argue that there aren't, and one of them is Costner. I don't think he's as comfortable as he should be with this film. However, you have the additional stuff of the comedy, like Michael McShane as Friar Tuck looking directly at the camera at the end of the film. It's interesting that he keeps pointing out, like, Mary Elizabeth Mastriatano has too much hair, but it works. She's beautiful. Like,
I can only be jealous, exactly. Honestly.
It's not really an argument towards the film itself. And I would also like to just point out that Bryan Adams' 1991 hit single, open parentheses, Everything I Do, end parentheses, I Do It For You, is not on trial. And only...
it's in the movie. Its inclusion as the credits is in the movie. The choice of it being a song.
Not part of the film itself. The credits are just the list of people who worked on the film. It's not part of the film's flow. The film is over at that point.
I don't know if we could decide that.
Like other films like The Mummy or whatever have like really cool ending credits. So like, would you say?
All right, order in the court. Mr. Haslar, would you like to redirect or move on to your next point?
I'll tack on. I think my next exhibit sort of touches on some of what he was going for. The performances. This was a complaint I can remember hearing even at the time, and that Kevin Costner plays a very American Robin Hood. He doesn't attempt an accent at all. By his own admissions, it was a failing as his job as an actor. But selfishly, he couldn't allow that part to be played by anyone else. And he's not the only one not trying for things because, people have varying different degrees of accents. Slater has one that kind of goes in and out. But when you have people in the cast either naturally having one or actually authentically doing one, they do stick out when they don't have one. Kevin Reynolds told Costner not to worry about it because he saw this as a very commercial film. He thought that if there were accents and historically accurate dialogue, people might not show to see it. And unfortunately, I think he may be right because I know my dad outright refuses to see many movies with accents, even if it's a contemporary film, because it's harder for his ear to hear them. And touching on some of the lines in the dialogue, it's certainly not written to even attempt to be lined up with the time. Lines like, shut up, you twit, should be something like, hold thy peace, coxcomb, but people wouldn't want to go to see that. They'd be like, what the heck is a coxcomb? You could use fool maybe, or maybe rogue or knave, but those aren't punchy. But if you look up like any of these words, they're very modern. Twit, meaning foolish person, came into play in the 19th century. Shut up, meaning be quiet, also came into the mid 1800s. So, none of these dialogue lines that people are using are authentic. So many of the performances are problematic, not least of all because the script isn't written in a way for them to be able to make it ring true.
All right, Mr. Jonsson, this is something you actually kind of touched on in your opening statement, if you'd like to elaborate.
Absolutely. It's exactly it. I don't see how the argument of, oh no, they made the film too relatable, is really a sign of it being a bad film. or more marketable even. The film is more successful as a result of all of the things that he's talking about.
Objection. No, they're not. Look at the Lord of the Rings. Like, people love the character of Theoden, who, says things like, instead of, hey, I know you, he says, I know your face. You can do this and have it be
Lord
very
of the Rings
successful.
is 10 years later. The audience, the people weren't ready for that film yet. I think that Robin...
They weren't ready for this? I don't know about that.
I did a lot of growing in the 90s, Mr. Haslar.
But the thing is that this movie starts those trends. That starts to have that little bit more of a... Because even Lord of the Rings still, it doesn't have modern dialogue necessarily, but it has modern pacing. It has modern social dynamics. The characters are written in such a way that they are relatable to a modern audience. In a way that Tolkien's original novels were a little bit more high-minded. I do think that this film is somewhat ahead of its time in terms of subversion of expectation. I think that it is a film that is looking at being accessible to an audience, that is looking at being a little bit more modern. And the accent thing, yeah, it's a problem. But it's not, I don't think it necessarily is enough to damn the film. It's certainly not to find it guilty of being bad. I think that it's worthy of attention and respect for the fact that it is breaking new ground, I think, in terms of genre mashup, these things that we see now.
Hazim, the Great One, I am home. I don't know. Let's talk about some of the inaccuracies. No, I don't charge it for not being historically inaccurate Robin Hood, because this figure is legendary. And even then, we have lots of established incarnations of the myth to draw inspiration from. But what I would like to draw the court's attention to is how it fails to be accurate to the time periods it was aiming for, as well as the spirit of those previous stories. Now, historically, we do know that Robin Hood, if there were such a man, would not have existed in King Richard's time. Likely, it would have been Edward II's time a few hundred years later, and that would have been Robin of Reedsdale. I'm not saying that they have to set it at that time or else it's a bad movie, but let's look at the alternative. The poet John Major is the first one to write the character as being in the Richard the Lionheart's time and Prince John's time, because they're such interesting characters. Prince John is a necessary piece of that dynamic, though, and thematically, it makes sense to put the Prince of Thieves in with him, because Richard is off gallivanting in foreign lands, spending very little time in England, gets in trouble, needs a king's ransom, as it were, which his brother John is then forced to tax the people in order to pay, as the rich and powerful are unwilling to, bear the brunt of that burden themselves. Perfect setup for what Robin Hood is all about. Problem is, this movie cuts out that very important ingredient of Prince John, something that even Robin Hood Men in Tights, a parody, realized that they needed in order to fully explore the themes. What doesn't make sense is having the sheriff in this role as the sole villain, trying to gain legitimacy to the throne, because he doesn't have any. Even if he somehow married the king's cousin, as Richard is still alive somewhere, we know that there should be a Prince John somewhere historically, there's other people in his way. You know how that villain in Shanghai Nights is laughed at for being 10th in line to the throne? It's even more absurd here. And honestly, if they wanted to focus on the sheriff as the sole villain, they might have done better to make it go the more accurate route and place him not in Richard's time, but someone else's. You'd still have to cut the marrying Maid Marian in the legitimacy plotline, but it would make more sense if you didn't feel Prince John missing so much. But then you don't have Sean Connery showing up as Richard at the end, but that doesn't really gain you anything. He could show up as literally any king. Further, if there were a Robin Hood, he wouldn't have been in the Holy Lands. And that's the whole point. He does his thing while Richard is away, because if he did go, his first duty would be, after getting freed from this fictional dungeon, would be to return to Richard and not to England. Morgan Freeman's character shouldn't be here. I do agree that representation of people of color is important, but this character does not feel like he belongs in this story. In fact, his inclusion really demonstrates how little research was done for this film, because a writer saw a 1980s British TV series who had a character named Nasir as a black character, and just assumed that a black guy had always been a part of the Robin Hood mythology. And even if you wanted to include such a character in as your reasoning, I don't know that Azim contributes in any meaningful way. That shouldn't have been Little John, who is a tenet to the story. Things like the spyglass are historically inaccurate for that time period and should be cut, and ditto that witch plot line. So if you take like those sort of things that they tack onto the story to make him feel like he belongs, it's just like he's kind of there doing whatever Robin is doing, but just right next to him. And so Little John fades into the background accordingly. One other historic thing before I pass it on that bothers me is the misunderstanding of the term outlaw. It uses outlaw like criminal, and that isn't accurate. It's more Wild Westy, with that sort of understanding. Outlaw literally meant someone who was outside of the law, meaning this person could not own property, could not participate in trials, could not be fined. But on the flip side, literally anyone could murder them and not face any repercussions. So the way the sheriff is treating Robin here is very much someone who's inside the law, someone he wants to legally punish.
Oh, he's an in-law.
Oh, okay, that makes more sense. Mr. Jonsson, if you'd like to respond to some of these historical claims that Mr. Haslar
Absolutely. I think it's irrelevant. I think that the idea of historical inaccuracy in this film is not something that it needs. I think that it makes all these sacrifices in terms of recognizability. You have an audience to deal with, and you're not making a historical epic. You are making a action film that's meant to sell tickets to your average American
kids,
and not necessarily kids. I mean, this film is made not necessarily for history nerds. And also 1991. Did a lot of people know this other than history? Like majors and stuff? This is not something you could just Google back in 91.
Which makes it even more of a crime, because then we're spreading misinformation. Like, people think that this is what it's all about.
What is this, PBS? This is supposed to be an educational piece? Like, we're supposed to... It's a movie about a guy who shoots arrows at bad guys. That's what this movie is all about. Azim, and yes, I do think you mentioned the representation aspect. I think that's incredibly important. There's a conversation. Also, you want to talk about historical accuracy. We're still doing this today. There's arguments online about, whether or not black people existed in areas of England. And of course they did. And this film is showing in an actual outright conversation. One of my favorite elements of this film is Friar Tuck's initial distrust of the Moor. This guy's from a foreign culture. He's of different color than me. I don't trust him. The animal is going to kill your wife when and he saves her life. And I think all of that is really meaningful. I think a lot of the stuff the changes that are made from the historical inaccuracies are what make this story actually pop for an audience watching. It certainly does for me. The idea that all of these things, maybe they didn't happen at the same times. Also, I don't miss Prince John at all. I think that there's plot elements that he overlooked in his argument of that it's not about him having a legitimate claim to the throne. He's going to buy one. He's got the other lords, these nobles that he's trying to impress, that are present at the execution at the end of the film. He's stealing all of this money to pay off King Richard's enemies to unite against him. They are going to play a coup, not have legitimacy to the throne. The entire idea is to overtake England. It's essentially back in the 90s films, again, that connection. This is basically a corrupt cop uniting the crime bosses to overthrow the city. This is not historically accurate. This is not, and it's not meant to be. It's meant to be.
Well, but it could be accurate to the stories, though, which would have helped. Like tacking Azim on, he very much is tacked on, and as such, Little John is in the background. Will Scarlet has a presence. Friar Tuck is a parent, but Alan-a-Dale, Gilbert Whitehand, Reynold Greenleaf, like all these people that would be merry men are nowhere to be seen because we had to have Azim in it.
Okay, but Azim is awesome. He's a great character. Well, he's a lot of fun.
We'll let the jury decide.
Morgan Freeman is excellent, and this was kind of a career maker for him. This was helping him get. He got much larger roles after this. This is something that was good for Morgan Freeman's career at the end of the day. But I think Azim is a great character, and I can't imagine the film without him.
All right, Mr. Haslar, if you have any final exhibits?
Yes, my last exhibit. For a film like this, where the creators weren't even trying in some aspects, I must lead you, once again, into Ben's nitpick corner. Nottingham is nowhere near the coast like they make it seem it is. Mecca is not east of England, but southeast, something an ultra-devout Muslim would take into consideration while praying. And further, when Azim does pray, he doesn't do so in a way that is consistent with how Muslims pray. His hands are in the wrong places, and he doesn't start by standing. Those horses knock down the tops of literally every fence as they gallop away. Not a big deal, but very lazy when repeated. Will Scarlet gets shot through the hand and has a bandage on throughout the rest of the film, but it really should impact him more than it does. I cut my finger back in December and it's still healing. And here he has like a hole in his palm, but grips a knife with nary a
fantasy movie. You're gonna nitpick about a hand injury in a film involving that we've already established doesn't exist in real.
A hole in his hand, sir. A hole in his hand.
It is the nitpick corner.
Well, yeah.
Order. Big Ben.
That well may look cinematic, but you don't need to elevate water 2 stories in this machine. Little John almost drowning in a shallow river he assumedly walks by every day is a little hard to swallow.
It's comedy. It's funny. What are you looking for?
Uh-huh. When Merryin and Duncan leave in the camp by boat, Merryn's lady in waiting is nowhere to be seen, but she does show up later in the film in a chapel, so she obviously got out of Sherwood Forest somehow, but it should have been then, otherwise she'd know her way back. The sheriff cuts out his scribe's tongue, so he has to write messages on a chalkboard to communicate, but later is very clearly telling Robin Hood and the sheriff where the sheriff went. The witch screams her head off as she attacks Robin Hood with a spear, who is somehow completely unaware of it until Azim comes in and throws a sword at her. On top of that, there are numerous crewmen we can spy on all edges of the screen, all throughout the film, as well as numerous rubber swords, fluttering glass shards, and whatever else. In addition to our main exhibits, the nitpicks are enough to death by 1,000 cuts this thing to execution. And on that, the prosecution will rest.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Haslar. Mr. Jonsson, you can present any exhibits you have in defense of the film and, of course, address anything Mr. Haslar.
Absolutely. Mr. Haslar has brought up an awful lot of arguments that I think go back to what my original statement was to begin with. The idea that this movie is misunderstood. This movie is seen in a way that is not its intention. There's expectations that are placed on Robin Hood, Prince of Thieves. Well, this film is interested only in its own, admittedly commercial focused, as Mr. Haslar has pointed out. That this film is very commercial focused. It's very marketing focused. It is designed to be a crowd pleaser. And with that, there is a ton of course, there's historical inaccuracies. There is broad comedy. There are occasionally cheesy fight sequences, but that is what this movie is. That's what this movie wants to be. We're looking for some sort of gold when it's meant to be bronze. And I think that it.
My mistake. Screw me for wanting a good movie. Should have been looking for a mediocre one.
Hey, bronze
is third place. Bronze is not a failure. Bronze is not a loss. It is a decent, fun film with decent, fun performances. We disagree.
Raves Nathaniel Jonsson.
We disagree on Rickman. That I think Rickman does a wonderful job with his over-the-topness. It's showing an unhinged supervillain character. In the extended edition of the film, he does go too far. I'll give him that. But most of those scenes were cut from the theatrical, probably for good.
There's an extended version? How long is that?
It's not that much longer. Yeah,
12 minutes. It's 12 minutes longer.
It's and most of the scenes aren't terribly necessary. They flesh out a couple of ideas that are inferred in the original film anyway. But I think that everybody's pretty good in this film. I don't think there's a bad performance. I think there are choices made, and those choices may not resonate with everyone. But I do think that they are wholly thought out. I think Costner gives a lot of thought to his role as Robin Hood. I'm kind of mixing everything in all together, but overall, the idea is this film is what it is, and what it is a fun action film that is designed to make people happy, and it makes me happy. There are also subversions in this film. Well, I'll save this for. I guess I'll stop with that. As far as my first exhibit, that it's misunderstood.
All right, Big Ben, are you just not getting it?
I agree that choices were made, but the problem is that the tones very much are conflicting. So with that, I will refer the jury to Exhibit A.
All right, thank you, Mr. Haslar. Mr. Jonsson,
my next point was going to be the subversions that I think are very much influential on. Not to say that this film specifically is influential, but this movie is essentially a Marvel movie before they had Marvel movies, and it's which is owes a lot to its late 80s, early 90s genre conventions. But that the subversion of the traditional story, this is why Azim, I think, is important. We were talking a little bit about the idea of when I saw this film with my grandmother on tape, she was the one that pointed out, using her language, she said, did you notice that the colored fella is the real hero of the movie? And I'm like, and I was shocked. And I said, oh my, because I hadn't really considered it. But she points out that, Azim has this moment of people of England, and they're like, we're going to do whatever you want to do, bro. Because he has that magnetism that Morgan Freeman has. It made me realize so much about the film, including the fact that it's funny. The spyglass moment, which Mr. Maynard did complain about being historically inaccurate.
You did too?
Real quick, it's, Mr. Haslar. Mr. Maynard loved that.
Maynard was thinking it. I'm sure he was.
I was thinking it. I was sitting back here thinking it.
But yeah, the idea of Mr. Haslar it's historically inaccurate to have jokes, but because the past wasn't funny. But you can have
no. But like trying to like thrust a sword like a million miles when you can see them far off on a hillside is a little hard to swallow.
It's funny. And it's the idea of that Azim could take it away from him and say it's a wonder that you people ever took Jerusalem is a funny joke. It got a laugh when I was in the theater. It's a lot of that stuff is stuff that would move on throughout fiction. The idea that the sidekick could be the real hero of the picture. It reminded me of multiple Robin Hood. There was a Robin Hood parody that I was in shortly after high school of Robin Hood's less popular brother Joe. The idea that Robin Hood can be funny, that his merry men can be more effective than him in some ways. All of that, I think, is another exhibit as to why this film is just a lot of fun to watch, and that's what makes it innocent.
This film isn't necessarily groundbreaking in that way. In fact, I think it's just like more following along suit. It's becoming worse because they're trying to put some of those historical things in it. But almost every incarnation of Robin Hood before that, be it the Adventures of Robin Hood, Robin and Merryin, the animated Fox one, all had degrees of Robin Hood being this fun person who kind of is enjoying his, teasing Prince John a bit and being a thorn in his side. So really, yeah, it's just the fact that they tried to go historically accurate that makes it not sit so well. And I disagree that Azim is the main character because like he does have that moment where he's like, hey, I'm fighting with him and I'm not even English. But like, again, it's tacked on. You could cut that and you wouldn't even know it was missing. Everything he does, you could cut and you wouldn't know it was there because it wasn't there in every previous draft.
I don't know. He's a pretty major character of the film. I feel like the film would feel differently without him.
Only because they have him sitting right next to Robin Hood during everything Robin Hood is doing.
Yeah.
And it should be Little John. Little John should be that person.
Okay. I mean, I disagree. I think Azim is awesome. I'm glad he's in the film. I mean, I think that he has he has a lot of fun. A lot of the film's more profound moments are from him.
All right. I think we can let the jury decide on Azim. Any other exhibits you'd like to present before you rest?
Just again that I think that this film also, I did want to point out this film has an excellent score to the point that its main theme became Morgan Creek's go-to for their production still forever. I think they still use it. It's a great score, a very rousing score, and capable of going very, very big and exciting and heroic to romantic and sweet. Also, I do enjoy the love story between Robin and Marion in this film. I think they actually do pretty well selling that idea that she's worth dying for. And with that,
every little thing he does for her.
Everything he does it for her. But yeah, and also just that I dig that it's still anti-capitalist, and any film that's anti-capitalist gets at least a 2 stars from me. So, but yeah, with that, I'll say the defense rests.
All right. Both sides have rested their cases. The attorneys will now present their closing arguments. Mr. Haslar, you may begin.
You know, at times like this, I think we could all use the folksy wisdom of Roger Miller. We all know Ryan hates songs, but maybe he won't hate this one because he loves cartoon foxes. Big Ben and Nady John in the Reels of Justice, yelling back and forth about this movie's awkward pace. Cross-examining, rebutting that, and hating that long run time. This is folly, golly, what a case. Nathaniel never thinking there was trouble with the accents, he just smiled, he was drinking it down. Never dreaming that Prince John or Morgan Freeman would be entered as exhibits all around. Big Ben and Nady John pacing through the courtroom, jumping cuts, dodging points, and tries to save some face. What they failed to realize is the jury was always guilty on it. This is folly, golly, what a case. This is folly, golly, what a case.
Oodalolly.
All right, there we go. Mr. Jonsson, you may present your closing argument.
I don't have a song.
It's not too late.
Throws everyone off guard.
Take 5, we'll come back.
All right, my old cucka. You want a good walloping? You shall have one. Yeah, we've done a lot of talking today about this film, and I do think my opponent has made some pretty good arguments. I do think that yes, the film is historically inaccurate, but I would argue that never mattered because this film is not a historical epic. It is not edutainment. It is not designed to be any of those things. It is designed to be a fun movie. And I think that it is. In his song, he did mention some pacing issues that I don't think he mentioned earlier, but I never had a problem with the pace of this film myself.
It was the whole first exhibit.
You said you had stuff was thrown together.
Oh, yeah. Tone. Yeah. Tones.
But I think that this film is all about just having a good time. And I feel like that this film does have a good time. I still watch this thing at least once a year because it really does. It reminds me of my childhood. It reminds me of happier times, but it also, I just have a really good time with it. I enjoy these characters. We never really, he brought him up in here and there, but I also wanted to bring up that the supporting cast, such as Little John, has a lot of great stuff. Also, we didn't even talk about the amazing fire arrow sequence. That entire combat in that wonderfully built set is such a good time, and just an excellent overall action adventure moment. But I'm gonna go with the jury doing the right thing here and believing.
That's a real gamble.
Yeah, of course it is, but it always is. But at the end of the day, Robin Hood, Prince of Thieves, is not guilty of being a bad movie. It might be guilty of being a few other things, but it is not a bad movie. And I will stand on that, and my nostalgia and my love for swashbuckling and weird cinema. And rest there.
All right. Thank you all. Members of the jury, Mr. Maynard Bangs, Mr. Dylan J. Schlender, and Mr. Everything I do it for Ryan Luis Rodriguez. You have all heard the facts concerning this case. It is now up to you to determine if this film is guilty of being a bad movie. The bailiff will escort you to the deliberation room to render your verdict.
Right this way. Did you know that when Robin Hood went to the doctor, he was diagnosed with meningitis?
Actually really good.
It's too clever. Who wrote that for him? Interesting case. Ryan, let's hear from you. I haven't heard from you in a while. I miss you.
Here's why I love Nathaniel. My second note on my list of notes is the origin of the Morgan Creek logo music. I am so happy that he brought that up. That you should have seen. Oh my god! If cameras were on, I was beaming. I was a proud papa. I was so happy. But then also, my first note is I don't mind when actors use their real accents. The Last Temptation of Christ does that brilliantly. But Big Kev is the only one here who doesn't bother. And it really is a sticking point for me. It does not feel like he's giving the effort that half of the other people are. And granted, I have just seen this movie for the first time a week and a half ago. My only knowledge of it is through Robin Hood Men in Tights and I Love the 90s Part Deux. That's literally all I knew about it. And the song, which my mom would listen to constantly.
Nice.
And there's some great location work. The problem is that director Kevin Reynolds cannot shoot hand-to-hand combat. It is all close-ups and quick cuts, and you never get any sense of follow-through. And the biggest problem for me is that I checked the time 90 minutes in, and I was disheartened to realize that there was an hour left of the movie. I honestly, I'm not trying to be a dick here, but for me, this is a gentleman's 4.
Wow. All right.
What are you thinking?
Well, you know what I'm thinking here, Maynard. I'm thinking about the case that Ben was saying, and he was talking about the conflicting tones. And that is something that's near and dear to my heart. And for good reason, because on the surface, I actually don't care that Kevin Costner's not doing his accent. But to not do an accent, but also to try to be the straight man in it, it's weird. Yeah. Like, if he was a little cheeky about it and had a little fun, I thought that was a great point that Ben brought up, is that
what's odd, too, is that Robin is usually the bright...
Yes, that was a great point that
character
Ben brought up.
in the Robin Hood world. He's the most interesting guy. Everyone
he's the one cheering everyone up because everyone else is so freaking destitute and starving to death. And he's like, "Hey, it's not so bad. Let's go get some money."
Instead, now he's Waterworld Kevin Costner. It's just kind of like My Boat.
Yeah, here you're just waiting for Alan Rickman to come back. When's Alan Rickman?
That's what I forgot to mention. Rickman is playing it up 1,000%. He is in the right movie. He is 100% in the right movie. Yeah, and the second he shows up, I'm like, Rickman, baby! Yes! Finally! Oh, yeah! And then he's not in it nearly as much as I would like him to be.
Yeah, and I respect what Nathaniel was saying about, like, if you made this like a late 80s, early 90s cop movie, you know, and it's just like, okay, but like try to like make it like Lethal Weapon, right? Or something. It's just like Kevin Costner's just too wooden, you know. That's what kills me. Like I just wish he like, you know, just had like a little charisma in this movie, because Kevin Costner, he's a great actor. He's capable of doing things, and he's also capable of being like a really stoic kind of guy, like in Open Range, for example. But
in an effective way,
in an effective way, exactly. But Robin Hood is not a particularly stoic character in and of himself, and to try to write him that way, it really just did not land for me. But again, in defense, what Nathaniel was saying, like, this movie was trying to be marketable, was trying to have broad appeal, so I think that's why it has a bit more of a smorgasbord quality to it.
It's a 4-quadrant movie.
Yeah, exactly. There's something for everyone in there. And I also love that Ben's dad won't see a movie with people with accents, but for some reason took his pregnant wife to see Ghostbusters 3 times. I mean, I got to hang out with Ben's family. They sound like such a wild bunch.
I think you guys would get along really well.
You know, that's the movie that this could have been better off as, The Wild Bunch. But instead it's Robin Hood, Prince of Thieves.
Oh, I like Christian Slater too, actually. Like, that's the thing. Like, a lot of the supporting cast is very strong. Like Friar Tuck from Whose Lines It Anyway? Yeah. Love that guy. And man, I probably took the thing you wanted to say.
You did. I love McShane. He is great. And Office Space. Don't forget his part in Office Space. I like
Office Space.
He's the hypnotist who keels over.
Who dies.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Gotcha. Okay, continue.
He's great in that movie.
I like Ben's point about, even though he was prosecution, about the toyetics of the movie, which to me seems like the weird kind of bottom line of the conflicting tones, right? Like, this is not a kids movie, but parts of it want to be, right?
Like
and
Beetlejuice.
and a lot of Nathaniel's defenses are, well, it's just kind of fun. I think, he's like, we're just having a good time. But then it's like, but then it's got all these themes about like civil rights with Azim and feminism for a while with Maid Marian, and that's not much of what would go along with a kids movie, right? So
Yeah, I mean, he's
it's
very
not
clearly trying to rape Marion at the end.
Right,
I mean, there's
it's
no
not-
They're
sugarcoating
tricking
that.
children into getting their parents to take them to go see the movie.
yeah, it's not a balls to the wall fun action movie. It's not Temple of Doom, like
No.
it's a slog for quite a while, and
It's Last
long.
Crusade.
Right. And so then you've got the toys. You're like, who, did you actually expect kids to go see this? That's kind of ridiculous. Rickman definitely keeps the movie above the water, if anything does for me. Kind of, yeah, there's parts of it I like. But I mean, even
that's kind of the
Nathaniel
thing with it,
mentioned
it's
that he
so
thinks
long.
he's seeing the movie through nostalgia glasses himself.
Do you have any nostalgic attachment to this movie?
No, it was the first time I saw it.
Oh, wait, both of you guys, really? Okay, yeah. I mean, I saw it when it was contemporary a long time ago, but I never.
Hey, you're a
held it up
history
in it.
nerd.
I never
You're
had
those
the
history
interest.
nerds Nathaniel was talking about.
No,
Yeah,
I
no,
actually that the Crusades in Middle England is very much a blind spot in mine. My English history takes place right around the War of Spanish Succession, but that's a movie for another time.
Oh yeah, me too.
Yes. Yeah. So, like, I want to be along for the ride and say, like, okay, this is kind of like quirky fun, but then it just takes too many hard turns. Like, there's an incompleteness about this movie that's just bugging me, and that's the thing. Like, the movie is just making an itchy spot on my brain, and not in a good way. So,
One you
I'll
can't
go ahead.
scratch.
Yeah, right. I'll go ahead and lock in first since I'm not the foreman. This is going to be a guilty for me. With respect to Nathaniel's case, I want to have fun with it like he's having, but I just don't think it's there. And I think Ben bringing up the conflicting tones, bringing up some of the inaccuracies, just the Kevin Costner of it all, it's just there's so many missed opportunities in this movie. Like, it has greatness in it, but it would take a lot of work to get out.
You got to count the cost.
Yeah, exactly.
Ryan, which way are you going?
Oh boy.
Don't make it hard for me.
I really liked Nathaniel's passion. I love the fact that he brought up the Morgan Creek music. That's a really short, direct, intravenous line to my heart. But honestly, God, 2.5 hours. I'm sorry. There weren't any superheroes in it, so I can't call it good. So I'm sorry. I'm
Doing
gonna have to go
the
guilty.
Maynard play, but superheroes instead of
Exactly,
robots.
instead
Really?
of giant robots and
Right.
monkeys.
Oh God,
That is a good one. I'm glad it's not up to me.
Maynard, it's all up to you.
It's not. I do want to mention
You could lie to the
No.
judge, so it is up to you.
the prosecutor mentioned some of the crewmen who were visible in some of those shots, and I'll have him know those are actually merry crewmen who, were crouching around.
Go back to your Little John joke.
And at no point in this film do they ever attempt to explain who the King of Thieves is.
Because he's Aladdin's dad.
Aladdin's dad is the King of Thieves?
Yes, Aladdin and the King Aladdin and the King of Thieves.
It's true, man. It's like the
Well,
third movie.
All right, I didn't see that one. I'll have to catch up on it.
It's when Robin
I don't
Williams
know that
comes back as the
historical
king.
accuracy of a folk hero is something that's important, but I think taking out major characters that add huge plot holes to your story, like Ben mentioned, I do think having no King John there kind of makes it not make much sense. I mean, he could just violently coup at all. He doesn't need to marry anyone.
It gives it the patina of so the reason he's going to marry Maid Marian is so that
What's her
the
name?
church will recognize it. That's
And
one of
she's
the
so
things. That's
pretty.
well, no, that's a big part of the War of the Succession there. So it's the Catholic Church is its own thing. If they recognize him as the King of England, and he has his fellow noblemen recognize him as the King of England, then he'll have legitimacy. So that's why he needs to marry, and marrying a relative of the king actually makes sense. So that part's all fine. Also, you can't say the
2.5
movie's
hours of
anti-capitalist when we're
this.
talking about a king here. I mean, he's the sheriff. He's a government official. He's the tax collector. This. So it's not anti-capitalist. It's anti-taxation. So, man, are you locking
Does
in?
he outrank Prince of Thieves?
Mhm.
I'm gonna give to Nathaniel since you guys have already gone guilty, and I'm gonna give a not guilty, and that way it's not unanimous because I'm there are some good parts. They're just not Kevin Costner.
Sure.
I'm giving Dallin Rickman, but anyway, that was enough. So maybe we should get out there and tell that very handsome judge.
All right. Mr. Foreman, have you reached a verdict?
We have, Your Honor. In the case of The People versus Robin Hood, Prince of Thieves, we find the defendant guilty of being a bad movie.
The verdict is so rendered. Robin Hood, Prince of Thieves, is to be given 30 pieces of silver and immediately defenestrated. Court is adjourned.
Hi, this is Ryan Luis Rodriguez, a completely original fictional character of no interest whatsoever. Reporting to you live from outside the Reels of Justice, Nathaniel Jonsson, insert pithy comment here. Would you care to share your thoughts on the jury's verdict?
I think that I think it was an honest jury decision. I knew I blame Kevin Costner. I did not have a defense for him at all. And so I knew that would be a hanging thread, so I had to lean in on the nostalgia to try to sell the argument, because I knew that eventually Costner would cost us. But no, yeah,
But he does.
But I think it was a fairly rendered verdict. I think the jury made some good points, and I think that it. While I don't know if justice was served today, I think it was at least honestly rendered.
Thank you. And here comes Big Ben Haslar, sarcastic tone. Excuse me, could we get a word on how you feel about today's verdict?
Do you spell your name like Ryan Johnson, out of curiosity?
I do. How interesting
right.
that you bring
That
that,
makes
up,
sense.
Ben.
Fictional Ryan. It's Tampopo all over again. Justice was not served today. I love this film. It's a Gentleman's Seven.
No, it's not. What the
Nathaniel
hell, man?
Jonsson did a great job. He made me think on my feet a few times, which is always fun. But it's always fun to have a case where I get to talk about history and I get to sing a little bit and nitpick a bit. I think this is a good trial all around, except for the verdict.
Witty rejoinder. Thank you very much. That's all we have from the courthouse today. Let's go back to the studio for post-trial analysis. Hilarious showstopper.
Yay! Okay! I
Ryan.
can't believe how controversial that character is. We might have to bleep it.
Right. We didn't get Little John for that.
No, you did a great job. Nathaniel.
I don't know, but I should have been
did.
I should have
You
been better
did.
prepared and maybe in a little better headspace. But I had a good time, and it's a fun little film.
Nathaniel,
Thank
take
you.
the compliment.
Yes. All right, thank you,
do.
Ryan.
We love
All
you
right,
anyway.
thank you, Ryan.
But not Kevin Costner.
Yeah, if Ryan's
Ben-
saying.
No,
Ben,
I should have
quick,
gone
just
with
real quick. What makes you
I
love
should have
it?
done the British accent the whole time to offset Costner.
To make up for it. That would have been funny.
Now that's the bit. Oh, that.
No,
would've
I
been
think,
wonderful.
Dylan said in our chat, like, it really makes you appreciate how good Men in Tights is for some of that, the way they call out some of those things. Like Carrie always going, I can speak in a British accent.
It's probably I just watched that film this morning. It's probably that line is probably the best thing of the whole film, is that they get a little bit catty with Prince of Thieves with their source material, and it's a great line. But yeah, I can speak with a British accent.
Anyway, Nathaniel, what have you been up to lately? What's been keeping you busy since last time?
Oh,
you were here?
not much. I just do the 2 podcasts.
Just two.
There might be a third. Yeah, because another friend wants to do one, so I get, which is a compliment, of course, is that people want to talk to me about things, so that's kind of cool. But I do At the Devil's Ball. There's a horror podcast. We talk about horror and genre films. I do that with my my friend Samuel Numene. Then I have Insane Troll Logic with my friend Maggie Stankiewicz, where we talk about Buffy and Angel. Both of those are a lot of fun. We're doing Wizard of Oz as of the date of this recording, the Oz films on At the Devil's Ball, and then we're somewhere around mid-season of season 5/2 of Buffy and Angel. So those are a good time.
Insane Troll Logic is an outstanding podcast, and if you're not listening to it, you
that's
should
so
be.
sweet
It's
of you, Ryan.
Great.
Well, what if I haven't seen Buffy or Angel though? I'm
You'll
gonna get
get
all the
it.
spoilers.
You'll get it. It's.
Okay.
I mean, yeah, there are spoilers, but the conversation is just so lively and fun and so knowledgeable. Like I get the impression that you truly reckoning with the problematic elements of both shows. I think that you get to the heart of the matter about what makes them important in the broader spectrum of
That's so
television.
sweet.
I know
They really are two of the greatest
something
series ever.
anti-Semitic or something. Everything's problematic now.
I know a certain girlfriend who would love to watch through all of Buffy with you, Schlenzo.
You do?
I think that's a great
Who's
project for you.
girlfriend?
Oh, some guys.
No, Ryan is definitely right. Buffy and Angel are pretty problematic, even if it's sometimes is just a product of its time. But yeah, they are. The shows have both aged well and aged poorly. It's really, really, really fascinating to look at it.
Sometimes from scene to scene.
No, literally, from scene to scene. Yeah, like a moment will be like, "Oh my god, that's so progressive," and then the next scene will be like, dropping the R slur, and you'll be like, "What are you doing?" But yeah, no, it's a lot of fun to do. Maggie's great. She's so much fun.
Yeah,
and of course, at the Devil's Ball, Samael is great too. So but yeah,
yes,
but yeah, we do have a good time, and thank you very much, Ryan. That's very, very sweet. I'll have to pass that along to Maggie. Yeah,
please do.
Yeah, she'll hear it when she listens to this episode.
Right.
I'll at least push it.
Let's get her on here.
At it to be like, you are mentioned. You should listen to it. But
yeah,
Don't give.
And we're gonna challenge her to come on the show,
Yeah,
Maggie.
come
Come
on
on.
the show.
she might do that. I know Samael would love to.
Ben wants someone to do Rocky too.
And I was gonna say, and the other guy. Come on, you too.
You also do Rocky.
You might not
too.
come on now. Thanks, Dylan.
the other guy. I'm sure it is.
And the
No,
other
now
one.
now we have beef, and he needs to come on to settle it. It's
And
all
all
it's
the
all
rest.
the politics, man. It's how this all works.
No, I was on the Devil's Ball with you too. Yeah, and I think we had a really good discussion about.
We
Tale of
still
Two
owe you a
Sisters, so
better. We
people
owe
should
you a
check that
better
one out.
episode because we were having our tech issues at that time. But
It's all part of the
yeah.
tapestry.
But yeah, no, and Ryan's been on both. And Maynard, you were on At the Devil's Ball too, I think. Yeah.
Yes.
Dylan, you have not been yet.
For
You'll have
that
to.
film.
I know where I'm not wanted. Okay.
Aha.
No, Dylan, you'll have to come on sometime. We'll connect.
Oh, I would love to. It'd be an honor.
The
It's a
key-
horror podcast, so we could
Correct.
talk about what's that scary movie I like there.
Tarot.
Oh, man, that's
Freddy, Five Nights at Freddy's.
No, Five Nights at
yes.
Freddy's 2.
Ooh, a
spoilers.
possible recommendation could be coming up. And speaking of, Nathaniel, we always ask for recommendations from our guests for movies you think people should see. So what is a movie you think people should see?
Oh, absolutely. I put a lot of thought into it this time because I feel like both times I've been on before, I was like, oh, that's right, I'm supposed to recommend something. But this time I was thinking about it. I watched
That's how we get you.
for the first time. I think last month I watched Flash Gordon for the first time.
Awesome.
Okay.
And Flash Gordon is the movie we need right now. I think it is where it's classic. The hero's superpower is that he's a nice person, and it's so decent and it's so cheesy, but it's so honest. It's probably the most honest film I've ever seen. It's not ashamed. It's not winking. It is just running full speed into its own narmy little world, and it is wonderful.
It is so goofy and earnest.
If you could see the grin on my face during that football scene where he's like getting beat up, and then the guy's like, Flash, he throws him a football, and he's like, now I know what to do, and he starts running. It's wonderful, and she's chewing the cheer. It is such a wonderful film, and it will make you feel good to watch it. So if you need a cheering up or a pick me up, Flash Gordon is I think is that movie. If you enjoy, camp. If you do not, you probably won't have a good time. But no, I
can't stand the mosquitoes.
Yeah. See, I was thinking the
1980
same
was a
thing. I
good
forgot
year
my
for movies,
canteen.
my
Blah,
God.
blah, blah.
It was.
So, what the world needs now is Flash Gordon. Big Ben, what have you got for us? What's your?
I'm putting my walk-commendations on hold this week as my movie watching focus for the last few weeks has been all about Robin Hood. So my recommendation, I give you 1938's The Adventures of Robin Hood. Do not let the date of 1938 deter you. Whether you think films of the era are all presented in black and white or that they're all slow moving, this film is neither. Filmed in a 3-strip Technicolor process, this film is vibrant to the core, and it has everything you imagine when you think of Robin Hood. Adventure, romance, castles, tournaments. It is excellent. Way before filmmakers thought the only way to do a historic film was to either be campy or gritty about it, this film knows it's inspired by a legend and revels in it more than any incarnation I can think of. This is cinema way ahead of its time. The way it just opens with Robin Hood sauntering into John's court and throwing this dead carcass on the table and casually taking a seat, being accused and interviewed by royalty, never letting any semblance of anxiety show, but portraying that he is exactly where he wants to be, opposite the crown, and laying their shortcomings bare despite being outnumbered. What a hero. And that archery tournament, this is the scene I guarantee you every Robin Hood filmmaker's mind was thinking of when they were deciding how to handle the famous bowman's skills. You gotta check this movie out. So back to the recommendations next week, probably, unless I don't want to.
And that's movies with Christopher Walken. You'll be
Yes, yeah.
recommending.
If you haven't been following.
I'm on the show and I haven't been following. I apologize.
Pretty terrific. Schlenzo, what have you got for us?
Maynard, let me tell you. So my kids introduced me to stuff that, frankly, it's beyond me now as an adult, but I feel like I would have dug it when I was their age. And a good example of that is Five Nights at Freddy's. You see, it has at times a both creepy, nostalgic, and liminal space thing going on, and also murderous automatons a la Chuck E. Cheese. Anywho, the edgy parts of the internet make like the kids think they're kind of getting away with something like this, you know, for the tweens here. But as an adult, it's pretty benign, you know. It's just like, okay, have fun, you kids. It's like, you know, how we all now realize that our parents didn't really care that we were listening to metal music. It was just a safe way to rebel. So naturally, the children wanted to watch the new Five Nights at Freddy's movie, and that would be Five Nights at Freddy's 2.
Good title.
The kids were, what's this?
Good title.
I thought so. Anyway, the kids were hyped that there was so much lore. Kids love lore nowadays, but do not expect it to be a coherent sequel to the first. You will just be asking too many questions. Honestly, I just enjoyed it because my kids enjoyed it. They delighted in explaining things to me just as much as I delight in explaining things to you, dear listener. Now, I am sure it's streaming somewhere just fine, but I swear to God, these movies are built for Tubi, and it will only be a matter of time before they end up there. Support your local library.
It'll be on Peacock in like a month.
On what? I'm sorry?
I think
Peacock.
it's already on Peacock.
I think you're thinking of the first one.
Are we just saying we're not saying Peacock?
Peacock!
Oh, so played.
You see?
We only have like a dozen bits, Ben, and if we don't use them, they die.
Good.
No!
We need them. Ryan, what have you got?
Has there ever been a fictional character who's been in more quality films than Robin Hood, the mythical pre-Green Archer, Emerald Archer? And I swear to fucking God, if you say Sherlock Holmes, I will end you.
Sorry.
I was going to say Hercule Poirot.
James Bond.
Robin Hood, who robbed the poor and gave to the rich. That's how it went, right? Whatever. So many good movies based on a public domain concept. The aforementioned Michael Curtiz's The Adventures of Robin Hood with Errol Flynn, 1973's Robin Hood, my favorite animated Disney film that also makes me profoundly sad, Mel Brooks's Robin Hood Men in Tights, and this week's recommendation, 1976's Robin and Merryin. Directed by Richard Lester 4 years before he would take over the Superman movies after the firing of Richard Donner, Robin and Merryin is a film, sure, but more than that, it's a feeling. It tells the beautiful, hauntingly sad tale of Robin, as played by Sean Connery, and Merryin, as played by Audrey Hepburn, reuniting in their old age after decades of being apart. It's tender yet unsparing, and possibly the most devastating surprise I had in the 2 or so years I spent obsessed with the Watch TCM app. For the past 4 decades, I hadn't felt compelled to seek it out, but now that I've seen it, it will live in my heart forever. Robin and Merryin isn't currently streaming for free anywhere, but it is available for rent and purchase on Amazon Prime or Apple TV, or you could just wait for it to return to Turner Classic Movies.
Oh, that actually sounds pretty compelling.
It's beautiful.
It does.
It's beautiful.
I was just like, oh my God, I might have to look that movie up.
Yeah, I was just gonna say, definitely an interesting take on it for sure.
And then
Sean
Sean Connery shows up as Richard in this one. I imagine that was
Right, yeah.
That was very exciting for me.
A
It's
Scottish
like, there's a
Robin
connection.
Hood?
There's actually a connection.
I don't know, but I'll have to kind
Well,
of
Robin Hood's a mantle, you see. Lots of people are Robin Hood.
like me.
Sure.
Sure.
What's your recommendation, man?
I'll send us on home. My recommendation today was one I rediscovered while sifting through Robin Hood movies and giving up, only to stumble upon what I'd like to call a reverse Robin Hood. That's where the rich steal from the poor and give to themselves, or as we call it in America, commerce. It's 1995's Rob Roy, a fictionalized account of Scottish folk hero Rob Roy MacGregor set in 1713. It follows the eponymous Highlander as he feuds with an English nobleman and his sadistic nephew. Originally released under the working title, Can We Get Braveheart? No, we have Braveheart at home. This actually came out a month before Braveheart, which is why they had to change the title. You see, in 1995, the US experienced a short-lived infatuation with Scottish culture. For some bizarre reason, the Scots thought this would be a permanent thing. Of course it wasn't. This stars a litany of recognizable actors, including Liam Neeson, first seen here perfecting the cadenced sort of delivery that he later perfected in the role of Qui-Gon Jinn, and the lovely Jessica Lange, who plays his wife Mary, which makes Liam officially the second biggest ape to ever hold Jessica Lange in his arms. John Hurt, Brian Cox, Eric Stoltz are names of people also in this movie. And rounding it all out is the one, the only, thank God, Tim Roth, whose performance of this film was later described by Nicolas Cage as a bit much. Roth plays the foppish fiend of a nephew, Archibald Cunningham, and his personal brand of stylish cruelty will have you asking, should men bring back powdered wigs? Should we? Are we doing this? Then, of course, you see Brian Cox in one, and you know why we got rid of the whole thing. As I mentioned at the top, this is a fictionalized account of a folk hero, but I'm afraid I must still take umbrage with some of the historical accuracy in this film. For instance, at no point do we see Liam Neeson's character drink the signature mixture of Scotch, bitters, and sweet vermouth that bears his name. And it's a damned shame. We can't go around trying to rewrite history. If you want to check it out, Rob Roy is currently streaming. Where else, Schlenzo?
It's got to be on
Space
Tubi.
Camp.
Oh.
No, it is Tubi. Yes, Tubi.
You know what though? That movie is pretty unhinged. It's pretty great. The sword fight at the end with Roth and Neeson is excellent because he's using the big ass claymore and he's using the little rapier.
Yeah, well, it's a broadsword. It's a one-handed broadsword.
It's a broadsword
for sure.
Liam Neeson's so huge he could hold the claymore in one hand.
But he's got the rapier, which is great. Yeah, no.
That. Great recommendation, man. That was good. I love that.
It was
movie.
a fun
That's
one
awesome.
to rewatch. I enjoyed it. We have Braveheart at home.
Exactly.
But with that, we are all out of show. But we want to thank our guest, Nathaniel Jonsson, for joining us. Thank you so much, Nathaniel.
Thank you. It's always a blast.
One day we're going to be able to say your name without you doing the silly accent, but it's not going to be today.
You did at the beginning.
Someone had to do an accent if it wasn't Kevin Costner. But we're going to have you back, and we're going to have all your hosts back, and they're going to have to do silly accents too. And we hope everyone will join us then as the Reels of Justice keep turning.
Count it.
Big Kev.
Please follow us on Twitter at Reels of Justice, Instagram Reels of Justice, and Facebook.com/Reels of Justice.